Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into a broken century. There's a spark in the air. And it's not just static, it's the kind of tingling buzz that lifts the little hairs on your neck. Outside, the world is quiet. But here, where you are, it's anything but. Giant copper coils hum in the shadows. Glass flasks glimmer in the low light. And someone or something is scribbling chalk equations across a blackboard that stretches on too far for the eye to follow. And the strangest part, you don't remember how you got here. You try to move, but there's a viscosity to the air, like time itself is thickened, clinging to your skin. The lab is impossibly large. Tables crammed with instruments that haven't been invented yet line the walls, each one pulsing faintly with power. A wall-mounted Geiger counter clicks in slow, deliberate beats like a metronome counting down to something you'd probably rather not meet. You feel watched, but not by a person. More like the numbers on the chalkboard are staring right through you. You probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop your location and your local time in the comments. Turn off the lights, grab a cozy blanket, and get ready, because our journey tonight is about to begin. You blink once, then again, the air smells like ozone and something older like burned paper and lavender water. A woman's voice echoes from the next room, polished French with a sharp rhythm. You step forward, careful not to knock over a tower of antique beakers stacked like champagne glasses. The voice belongs to Marie Curie. Yes, that Marie Curie, but she's younger than you expected. Her sleeves are rolled up, her hands stained with chalk dust and something that glows faintly green. She doesn't notice you. She's arguing with herself under her breath, flipping pages in a leather-bound journal and muttering about isotopes, entropy and time recoil. None of this sounds like standard chemistry. She turns, her eyes catch the light in a way that freezes your breath. Deep, calculating, but not unkind. She squints, and for a second you're sure she sees you. But then her gaze slides past, as if you're a photograph that hasn't developed yet. The walls shift slightly. You feel it like the floor beneath you is realigning itself with something older, something deeper than the earth. One of the blackboards peels back, revealing not a wall, but another room. You step inside, because of course you do. You're not exactly in control here. The room pulses with warm green light. In the center, a spinning sphere of glass rotates above a metal pedestal, surrounded by tiny arcs of electricity. Inside the sphere is a crystal the size of a thumbnail, suspended in liquid that bends light the wrong way. It shimmers with something you can't quite name, like memory or destiny. Marie steps in behind you. Radium isn't the problem, she says aloud, to no one and to you. It's the fracture. Time has started folding, and if we don't find the point of origin, she trails off, her eyes going distant. You notice her hands trembling slightly, not with fear, but urgency. There's something clawing at the edge of the room, just outside your vision. A loud crack echoes through the room. You turn, something just hit the chalkboard. No burst through it. A ripple of blue-white light spirals outward, distorting the air like heat off asphalt. Marie doesn't flinch. You, on the other hand, grab a nearby desk to steady yourself. Because the ripple isn't stopping. It surges toward you, passes through you. You're falling, but you're standing still. The lab warps around you, every object blurring, stretching, unraveling into long threads of light and memory. For a moment, you see hundreds of versions of Marie Young. Old, ghost-like, triumphant, heartbroken, all blinking in and out of sync, like flickering candle flames in the wind. And then it stops. The room returns. Sort of. You're in the lab again, but it's not the same one. It's darker now, colder. Dust hangs in the air like static. The instruments are older, cruder. There's no glowing sphere, no hum of electricity. The chalkboards are blank. The windows are bricked over. But there's a ticking. Soft, mechanical, rhythmic. A large, brass pocket watch lies open on the floor, its face cracked, its hands spinning backward. You pick it up, and a flash burns behind your eyes. Suddenly, you know things you didn't a second ago. That this isn't the first time you've been here. That time in this place is not a line but a spiral. That this lab has existed in every decade, every century, simultaneously. And that you're caught in one of its loops now. You try to remember your name. You can't. But you remember a phrase in Polish. Zasni ma początku. Time has no beginning. You hear something behind you, a whisper. Not language, exactly. More like thought breathed into sound. It's saying your name. Or a version of it. The same voice that spoke from the journal earlier. Only now it's inside your head. Then a soft slam, you turn. Marie is gone. In her place. A doorway now stands glowing at the edges, like metal heated white hot. The wall is still solid, but the doorway isn't in the wall. It's through it. A hole in time itself. You step forward and hear one last thing before crossing a ticking pocket watch. And Marie's voice, like a memory not quite your own. Don't trust the mirrors. They remember the wrong you. You inhale, not because you need to but because it feels like the right thing to do, before stepping into the kind of place that doesn't breathe back. And you cross the threshold. The floor becomes liquid underfoot. The air thick with memories that don't belong to you. You glimpse flashes of laboratories on fire, hospital beds glowing with radiation burns. A bouquet of violets turning to ash in slow motion. You stumble once but don't fall. This is no longer just a time fracture. It's a countdown, and you're already part of the equation. You land hard but not on the ground. The surface beneath your feet feels like parchment soaked in moonlight. It stretches and creaks with your weight, as if it's not entirely sure you belong here. Above you, the sky is black glass, webbed, with faint silver veins, pulsing like veins under translucent skin. The air tastes metallic, like you've bitten your tongue. You've entered a moment that should not exist. Behind you, the glowing doorway is gone. Not closed, gone. Erased like chalk from a blackboard. Ahead, there's only one path. A narrow stone walkway suspended above a field of shimmering fog. Every step you take leaves an afterimage. You glance back and see faint traces of yourself. Still walking, each one slightly different. One limps, one turns its head. One isn't quite you at all. To your left, a clock tower floats sideways, chiming in reverse. To your right, there's a train frozen mid-derailment, its passengers hovering. In the air like sleepwalkers, the scene loops every few seconds. Screaming, stillness, screaming again. You walk faster. Something about this place feels like a storage room for broken time. A place where the discarded seconds and failed timelines go to decay. You start to notice objects drifting in the fog below: photographs, feathers, a single rubber boot, the Eiffel Tower flickering like a dying light bulb. One object floats upward and brushes your arm. A wilted lab notebook. Marie Curie's handwriting crawls across the page like it's alive. You flip through the notebook without stopping. A date is underlined over and over, April 24th, 1902, and next to it, a phrase in English. This is when the fracture began. The ink is glowing faintly. The page is warm. Suddenly, a hand grabs your wrist. It's Marie, but this isn't the same version you saw in the lab. Her eyes are sunken, her hair streaked with silver. And there's a thin scar running along her jaw, like lightning frozen in skin. She's not surprised to see you. I hoped it would be you, she says. You're not stable here, but that's what we need. Someone between seconds. You try to speak, but your voice doesn't exist in this space. You manage a nod. She yanks you sideways. off the path and into the fog. Your body goes weightless. You expect to fall forever. But instead you drop exactly 20 feet and land on a creaking wooden floor. You're inside a house, or maybe a memory, of one. Old wallpaper peels like sunburnt skin. A grandfather clock ticks normally, for once. There's a fireplace, a cracked mirror above it, and on the wall, a photograph of Marie Curie. His eyes have been scratched out with a needle. Over his face, someone has scrawled in black ink, "Time owes him a debt." Marie walks to a table and pulls out a map of Paris, 1902, but it's drawn over another city, an impossible overlay of Paris, Chernobyl, and what looks like an early blueprint of CERN, places that should never intersect. Historians still argue whether Pierre's accident was truly random, she says, not looking at you. Some believe he was pushed by someone who didn't belong in that year. A traveler, a correction. You don't ask how she knows this. Some part of you remembers it too. She circles the map. The fracture began after his death. I tried to anchor it with radium, with grief. But time isn't Cladis water. You press in one place, and it spills out elsewhere. You lean against the mantle. The mirror above the fireplace warps your reflection. You don't look like yourself. Your eyes glow faintly. Your skin has the shimmer of old photographs. You blink and see the room shiver. I've seen this before, Marie says softly. The mirror phase. It means you're close. Close to what, exactly? Before you can ask, the floor shakes. Not an earthquake, a pulse. Marie freezes. It's following you. The walls ripple, and from the far end of the room, a long crack begins to crawl across the floor like a snake. It radiates blue light and emits a sound that makes your teeth ache, a high-pitched whine, layered with whispers. You bolt after Marie as she flings open a trapdoor under the rug. The moment you descend, the room above collapses in reverse, rising into ceiling, light curling inward like paper in fire. You land in a tunnel that looks like it was carved by a machine that hated right angles. The walls are lined with rusted pipes and fractured gears, many of them ticking asynchronously. Above one, a flickering sign in polish reads, "Proba Chaso Wigo time load experiment." Where are we, you ask, your voice finally returning in this lower level. Marie stops walking. We're beneath the Radium Institute, the original one, before it was built. This was the first lab, the one that was hidden. She gestures to a massive door ahead, sealed with dials and strange symbols, some scientific, others ancient. The door looks more like a vault than an entrance. Above it, engraved in metal, "Pamik needs no lineawaki memory, knows no linearity." She begins turning the dials. You'll have to go in alone. I'm bound to this timeline now, but you're undefined. You ask what's inside. She exhales. A moment. April 24th, 1902. You'll know what to do. The vault hisses open. Inside is not what you expect. It's a perfect replica of a Parisian street corner from the early 20th century. Gaslights flicker, carriages wait, newspapers flutter in a soft breeze that shouldn't exist underground. You take one cautious step in, and the air shifts. You're really there. A newspaper boy walks past, shouting headlines you can't quite parse. You turn and there he is. Pierre Curie. Alive, he's stepping off the curb. Your breath catches. You know this is the day he dies. Run over by a carriage. Head crushed, history written in grief. You sprint. Time slows. You see the carriage, the horse's eyes. Pierre glances up, confused. You shove him back just as the carriage barrels through. You don't feel pain. You feel displacement. Like a page ripped from a book. Pierre falls safely onto the sidewalk, staring at you. He says something. You don't hear it. The world begins to collapse inward. The gaslights explode in reverse. The air pulls at your limbs. A doorway opens in the cobblestone like a trapdoor in a dream. You fall again. The last thing you see is Pierre Curie holding his head, looking up at the sky with tears in his eyes. And then, darkness. You hit the ground with a thud, and the unmistakable crunch of pine needles beneath your palms. It smells like wet bark and electricity. Around you, a forest breathes in, slow rhythmic heaves. Like the whole landscape is alive and just barely tolerating your presence. Trees bend slightly in your direction, curious but unfriendly. A thick mist coils around your feet. Your hands are glowing faintly, the residue of whatever force threw you here, still dancing across your skin. You pat yourself down, nothing broken. But something inside feels unsettled, like your soul got stretched a few extra seconds too long. You check your no city, no Marie, no Paris, just forest, fog, and a peculiar ticking that echoes from nowhere in particular. A soft voice calls your name. You don't remember telling anyone your name. The voice repeats it, closer this time. You whirl around it. Find a man standing just a few feet behind you. He's tall, dressed in a dark trench coat, hair slicked back in a way that looks too modern for this kind of wilderness. His face is eerily symmetrical, like it was designed more than born. I told them you'd interfere, he says. I told them the fracture would find you. You ask who he is. I'm an editor, he replies simply, of timelines, of outcomes. My job is to remove variables that become entangled. He gestures toward your glowing hands. You're the worst kind of entanglement, a paradox wearing shoes. You try to back away, but the trees behind you have shifted, pressing close like spectators at a hanging. He raises one eyebrow, unimpressed. I'm not here to erase you. Yet, but you did just pull Pierre Curie off the tracks. You understand how stupid that was. You nod. You do. You saw the carriage pass through you. You saw history ripple, but it felt right. I'm going to show you what you saved, the editor says, waving his hand in a circle. The air warps and suddenly, you're standing in a laboratory that hums with raw energy. It's sleek, metallic, sterile. Definitely not from 1902. You recognize Marie immediately, but not the Marie you met. This one is older, hardened. She's dressed in a white lab coat that glows slightly under the blue overhead light. Her eyes have the exhausted intensity of someone who stared into the future too long. She's standing before a shimmering orb, no wires, no stand, just floating. Inside it, tiny galaxies spinning like coins on a glass table. Pierre is beside her, alive. You feel your throat tighten there. Talking fast, in overlapping French and English. Equations bloom in mid-air as they speak, numbers spinning and melting into each other. You catch fragments, energy lattice, quantum recursion. Einstein was close, but not quite. The editor leans beside you. This is 1935, year after she was supposed to die, because you saved him. She didn't stop. She didn't retreat into grief. Together, they built a recursive energy loop, a perpetual time cell. You ask what that means. It means they created a power source that feeds on causality. It eats time, and every bite creates more of itself. He turns to face you fully. Now tell me again, do you still think saving him was the right move? You hesitate. What you're seeing is astonishing. It's beautiful. But the hairs on your neck won't lie there standing straight up. This doesn't feel like progress. It feels like imbalance disguised as brilliance. Suddenly, alarms blare. Through the lab, Marie and Pierre vanish frozen in time, like mannequins. The orb starts to glitch, fragmenting into pixelated shards. Too late. The editor mutters. The lab dissolves, and you're back in the forest. No ticking, now just silence, deep and absolute. You broke the seal, he says. Now that other fractures are waking up, he pulls a pocket watch from his coat and flips it open. Instead of hands and numbers, it shows moving images, snapshots of history glitching. a Roman legion walking backwards, a Soviet cosmonaut clapping in slow motion while aging in reverse, a caveman carving equations into a metal plate. The ripples from 1902 have reached other fragile events. And if enough timelines collapse, they'll start to blend. And once they blend, he lets that trail off. You feel a dull pain behind your eyes, like your brain is rejecting something. You reach up hand, a trickle of light drips from your left nostril. You're destabilizing, the editor says. Your molecules are losing commitment. Cool. That's definitely not something you were ready to hear tonight. He pulls out a small vial from his coat and hands it to you. The liquid inside is silver and thick, like mercury crossed with liquid mirror. Drink this when the memories start bleeding. It'll hold you together a little longer. You ask, what now? The editor sighs, glancing at the trees. There's still one chance to course correct. One more fracture you might be able to mend. He hands you a device that looks like a compass, mated with a stethoscope. It vibrates faintly in your palm. Follow this, it'll pull you toward a weak point. If you're lucky, you'll get there before the next collapse. You turn to leave, but he calls out one last time, oh, and if you run into your other selves, don't make eye contact. It never ends well. Of course it doesn't. You push forward into the trees, the forest partying just enough to let you through. Each step now feels harder, like gravity's been turned up, but you keep going. Branches snag your clothes. The sky flashes red for a moment, then green, then nothing. Your compass buzzes faster. A clearing opens ahead and, in the center is a doorway made of mismatched stone, wood, and steel. Impossible architecture. Half collapsed, half shimmering. You step inside. The air changes again. This time it smells like salt and rain. A sign overhead reads, London, 1912. Your ears pop. Your hands stop glowing, and from across the cobbled street, a woman turns her head and stares directly at you. It's you, but older and terrified. You freeze. The older version of you across the street is standing beside a crooked lamppost, clutching a bundle of old newspapers. Her eyes lock onto yours with the force of a collapsing star. She mouths something. One word, barely visible through the fog. Run. But your legs won't move. Something about seeing your own face, worn and frightened, rooted in this impossible year, it paralyzes you. She drops the papers and bolts down a narrow alleyway, boots echoing against wet stone. You follow. London in 1912 smells like soot and panic. Horse hooves clatter by, carriages veer too close to your elbows, and gaslights sputter against the mist, like they're unsure whether to keep existing. You dodge a man with a bowler hat shouting about Titanic tickets. Turn past a fruit stall selling bananas that definitely aren't ripe yet, and chase yourself into a dim courtyard behind an abandoned apothecary. Your other self is waiting there, back pressed against the wall, hands trembling. I thought I was the only one, she says, her voice cracking with exhaustion. She's wearing something weird, part Victorian dress, part bomber jacket, like she's been stitching together outfits from multiple centuries. Her eyes are bloodshot, her timeline is fraying. You ask, how long has she been here? Too long. I've looped this street 19 times. Every time I think I escape, I land right back in front of that lamppost. She laughs, but there's no joy in it. I even tried letting myself get hit by a trolley. Didn't work. The device the editor gave you starts to vibrate violently. You pull it out. Its needle is spinning in chaotic circles. Your other self sees it and goes pale. Oh, no. They marked you. You ask who. She doesn't answer. Instead, she pulls a pendant from her neck and holds it to your forehead. For a split second, you're not in the alley anymore. You're inside a memory, but it's not yours. The memory belongs to Marie Curie. You see her pacing a tower room in a castle that doesn't exist on any map. It's filled with notes, Formulas scratched into the walls. Radioactive glass spinning in zero gravity. She's older here, in her 50s maybe, and whispering to herself, time is a patient virus. It waits, and then it consumes. She's trying to contain something glowing inside a lead box, sealed with symbols that don't belong to any human language. Outside the window, the sky keeps changing colors. Sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's stars. Once, just for a second, it's your own face. You're yanked out of the vision like a fish hooked too hard, back in the alley. The other you is bleeding from the nose. You're caught in her feedback loop, she says. Marie didn't just build a time cell. She built a recursive identity, something that spreads itself across people, memories, even places. We're inside it, this London, this is her echo. You finally piece it together. You didn't just save Marie Curie's life. You might have unlocked the ghost of her consciousness looping, surviving, adapting across every corner of history she touched. Historians still argue whether she truly understood the quantum implications of her own research. Some say she was just a chemist with grit. Others believe she glimpsed something bigger and buried it for fear the world wouldn't understand. You're starting to think it was the second one. You look down. The puddles at your feet no longer reflect this alley. They show something else. A flickering montage of ancient Greece, then a moonlit lab in the 1980s, then a cratered plain with no stars at all. The barrier is thinning. Your double grabs your wrist. There's a crack coming. You have to jump through it. It'll look like lightning but feel like déjà vu. If you miss it, you stay here. Loop with me. Forever. You nod. The moment she says now, you leap. You don't land. You drift through a tunnel made of soft gears and whispering clocks. You see flashes of Marie again, this time, holding Pierre's hand on a snowy bridge. This time alone, on a red desert under 3 suns. This time looking directly at you and smiling faintly. And then, impact, you're in a lecture hall, dark, empty, but humming with old knowledge. The air smells like chalk, ink, and static. It's the University of Paris, at least. A version of it. Your device has gone silent. No vibrations, no compass needle, just silence. You walk down the rows of chairs and find a small scrap of paper, taped to the chalkboard. On it, one word, split. You turn and there she is, Marie Curie again. But now she looks translucent. Not ghostly, not fully present. Like a projection recorded by the universe itself. She sits calmly in the professor's chair, flipping through a notebook that seems to write itself as she reads it. You made it farther than most, she says. Her voice is soft, measured. But this isn't about survival, it's about integration. You ask, integration with what? She tilts her head. With yourself. With the path you unlocked. Time doesn't hate you, but it wants you to pick a lane. She stands, her outline flickers. You notice something behind her, a strange contraption made of brass, bone, and obsidian. It hums like a heartbeat. It pulses in sync with your chest. This is the split machine, she explains. I created it in a moment of unbearable grief. A way to speak to futures I wasn't allowed to see. But the machine began to hunger. It didn't just connect timelines, it devoured them. You step closer. You can feel its pull. Marie continues. Now, it's breaking free of me. It needs a new tether. Someone displaced. Someone reckless. Someone with hands still glowing. You realize what she's implying. She wants to give it to you. You ask what happens if you refuse. Marie looks tired. Then it finds someone else. Maybe one of you. Maybe all of you. Suddenly, her form fractures, split into dozens of versions. A child in a chemistry set. A mother writing by candlelight. A cosmic wanderer cloaked in starlight. They all speak at once. Choose. You step forward and lay your hand on the machine. It accepts you like a heartbeat syncing with another. But your mind explodes, memories rush in. Ones you never lived. trench warfare, lunar colonies, Shakespeare reading Curie's notes. You're being reassembled from parts that never belonged together, but you hold barely. The room fades again, and you land in yet another time. Only now, you hear ticking again, and something is following you. You land hard this time. Marble. Your knees scrape slightly, but there's no blood. Just the cold, echoing silence of a hall that wasn't built for footsteps like yours. Pillars tower around you, fluted and golden, and the air is thick with something like ozone and burnt parchment. The lights know not lights, but floating orbs drift lazily overhead, each one pulsing, like a memory waiting to be replayed. You've never seen a place like this. The ticking sound from before has grown sharper. You turn, but nothing's there. No Marie, no machine. Just a giant archway behind you, now sealed with a veil of black silk that flutters without wind. You're alone, again. Except you're not. The sound begins a low hum, mechanical but alive, then footsteps, then whispering words in a dozen languages, some familiar, some never spoken by humans. And then it enters, not a person, a presence. It drifts forward in the shape of a man wearing a coat stitched from calendar pages. His face is smooth and silver, with a pocket watch embedded in his forehead, ticking in rhythm with your pulse. You hold the split, he says. The key to Curie's paradox. You swallow the fear and ask, who are you? He smiles, and 1,000 gears turn behind his eyes. I'm what happens when time forgets how to be linear. I'm a result, a fragment. Some call me the archivist. He glides closer, gesturing to a plinth that wasn't there a second ago. On it, etched into obsidian, are your choices. Literally. Written out, sentence by sentence, like a script someone else started writing before you ever arrived. You've caused a ripple, the archivist continues. By taking the machine, you collapsed for possible futures. 2 of them were wars. 1 was peace. The last was Curie's own dream. Now you're the tether, and the timelines are hunting you for equilibrium. You want to ask more, but the ticking is getting louder, too loud. And then, out of nowhere, a burst of memory. You're in Warsaw again, but it's your Warsaw from the museum. You're standing beside a glass display case containing Marie's original radium vial, glowing faintly behind thick shielding. But this time, the vial cracks. Slowly, deliberately, and out of it, smoke green, dreamlike billows toward you. When you blink, you're back in the hall. The archivist nods. She encoded part of herself in that sample, an imprint, not just radiation, a blueprint for recursion. He snaps his fingers. The marble floor beneath you shifts, becoming translucent. Beneath it, layers of reality pass like transparent slides. Napoleonic battlefields, ancient marketplaces, lunar landscapes. Historians still argue whether she understood the implications of isolating radium. They call it a medical breakthrough, a Nobel feat, but that wasn't her endgame. It was just her way of speaking to the future, of whispering to people like you. You ask what you're supposed to do now. His answer is maddeningly simple. Survive long enough to make a choice. Before you can protest, the floor opens and you fall. But this time, you land standing. You're outside, somewhere humid. Hear insects chirping, leaves rustling, and above all, drums slow, rhythmic, pulling you forward. The jungle is thick around you, but the path is unmistakable. Lit torches float mid-air, leading you to a clearing. And at the center of that clearing is a pyramid. Not Egyptian, not Aztec, something older, worn smooth by time itself. Marie is there again, but different. She's dressed like a traveler now, boots caked with red mud, hair wild from wind, a satchel slung across her chest. She doesn't speak at first, just studies you with those impossibly focused eyes. Then she says, "You made it to the axis." You ask what that means. She kneels, brushing aside moss to reveal a stone dial carved into the ground. It spins with your presence, the axis of moments, she says. A place that exists outside of chronology. All of time touches here briefly before diverging again. I built it by accident, trying to create a stable isotope. Instead, I cracked a hole in causality. You kneel beside her. The dial is made of 7 concentric rings, each one marked with symbols, atomic notations, moon phases, musical notes, things you don't recognize. But one ring, just one, has your initials carved into it. That's when it hits you. You weren't just dragged into her experiment. You were meant for it this whole time. You thought you were fixing something, trying to preserve her life. Stop the collapse. Understand the split. But what if you're not the repair crew? What if you're the final ingredient? Marie leans in close, her voice barely audible. This place lets you rewrite one moment. Not prevent, not erase. Rewrite. A single event. But once you do, you stay in that reality forever. You ask if she's done it. She doesn't answer. Instead, she places a stone into your hand. It pulses once. You see your own childhood. Twisting, distorting, reordering. And now it's your choice. Stay on the run through fractured years and sentient museums, or rewrite something that matters and risk becoming a ghost of your own invention. The jungle fades, and you're back in motion. Only this time, you're not falling. You're walking down a long corridor made of mirror-polished glass. Each reflection shows a different version of you. In one, you wear a crown of vines. In another, you carry the machine fused into your chest like a clockwork heart. And in one, you're Marie, or rather, she is you. You reach the end of the corridor and find a door with no handle. But it opens anyway. The next room is a train station, modern, busy, loud. Your phone buzzes. It's working again. One bar, and on the screen, a single alert: themed choice approaching. Remain still. You hear the train before you see it. But when it pulls in, it's not on rails, it floats. Its sides shimmer with moments. Your mother laughing, Marie shaking hands with Einstein. The moment you first open that strange envelope, the archivist's voice rings in your ear. All trains lead to somewhere, but only one leads to you. You step inside, and the doors close behind you. You don't sit. There are seats on the train, velvet ones, red and gold, like something out of a Wes Anderson movie. But you feel like if you sit, you might wake up. And the last thing you want is to be yanked back to a reality that makes less sense than this one. The train hums as it glides forward. No bumps, no tracks. Just a smooth, almost smug kind of movement that says, "Don't worry, I've done this before." Through the windows, cities pass, upside down cities. Forests with clouds drifting under their roots. A field of satellites, blooming like dandelions. You blink and see a classroom. Marie's classroom. Only this time, you're the one at the chalkboard. Your hands are chalk-streaked. Your mouth is speaking equations you don't remember learning. Then it's gone. The train stops. Just once, the doors hiss open. No one boards except for a scent. It curls in subtle and dangerous ozone, salt water, and lavender. It smells like a storm just finished arguing with a perfume counter. And behind it comes Marie. Not the ragged traveler, not the lab coat version, but someone in between. Her eyes are rimmed with exhaustion, but she smiles anyway. "You're adapting quickly," she says, taking the seat across from you. You ask where you're going. She shrugs. That's the trick. The train doesn't care what we want. It listens to what we almost said. She taps the window. Outside, the landscape shifts into grayscale. A Paris cafe appears, full of statues frozen mid-conversation. In the middle, a young woman, clearly Marie, age 17, is arguing with a man who looks like he was carved from bureaucracy and cigar smoke. "That's me," she murmurs. "Trying to register at the Sorbonne. They told me women weren't ready for higher physics. that maybe I'd be happier auditing botany. You glance at her. What did you say to him? She smirks. I said, I didn't come here to study flowers. I came to split atoms. You both laugh softly, because this train still feels like the kind of place where noise can summon things you're not ready to meet. The train jolts, just once, and then the lights dim, not a flicker. A slow, intentional fade, like the train is preparing for something delicate. Marie leans in. Her voice drops to a whisper. Time's getting thin here. The archivist said it would. We're approaching the lapse. You feel it in your chest. A loosening, like your heartbeat is no longer syncing with gravity. She pulls something from her coat, a medallion, etched with a shape that's both an atom and a maze. This is the stabilizer. We only have one. You'll have to wear it during the lapse, or your body might remember different histories at the same time. You ask her what happens if you forget to wear it. She tilts her head. Then your spine might develop a few extra centuries. Joking, probably. The medallion feels warm in your hand, too warm for metal. It beats faintly in rhythm with your thoughts. And then the train begins to slow, not in space, in time. Outside, the cafe fades, replaces itself with a field of hourglasses, the size of buildings, all slowly rotating. Each grain of sand that falls lands with a sound like thunder, and each one you see fall, you feel inside your bones. Marie touches your shoulder. We're here. You step off the train. No station, just the field, stretching out in every direction, hourglasses rising like skyscrapers. You walk slowly, following Marie's lead. Every step kicks up sparks instead of dust. Every breath you take feels borrowed. The lapse isn't a place, she explains. It's a glitch, a tear. Time here forgets what it's supposed to do. So it starts playing games. You glance around. One hourglass shows your childhood dog, still alive. Another shows the moment you didn't crash your bike. Another shows Marie accepting her second Nobel Prize, but this time, she's glowing. Literally, like the radium never left her blood. You ask how any of this is possible. She doesn't answer, because something else arrives. It's not a person. It's a shadow made of seconds. It floats, distorted, reshaping its outline with each flicker. Sometimes it looks like your father. Sometimes like Marie. Sometimes like no one at all. But always watching. Marie steps in front of you. That's the residue, she says quietly. It forms when a person stays too long in fragmented time. Most travelers dissolve. This one clung to what it was. The residue tilts its head. You feel it look into your memory. Marie hands you a device. An object that looks like a compass crossed with a camera. You'll need this. Point it at the hourglass that feels like a lie. You hesitate. All the hourglasses feel wrong. One of them shows you as a scientist. Another shows you never boarding the train. One shows Marie dying alone in a room full of books. Another shows her building a dome on the moon. You pick one. The image shatters. The residue hisses. Marie grabs your hand. Run. You bolt out through the field. Each step blurs the boundaries of what's real. A century collapses under your heel. You pass by Newton scribbling formulas on a cloud. Cleopatra arguing with Tesla. Da Vinci flying upside down in a hot air balloon made of butterfly wings. Fringe history and imagination mash together like an over-caffeinated fever dream. Marie pulls you down behind a toppled hourglass. You both breathe hard. I think we've shaken it, she whispers. You glance back. The residue stands still watching. Fading. Waiting. Marie reaches into the shattered hourglass, pulls out a page, burnt around the edges. It's covered in her handwriting and yours. What is that? You ask. She doesn't respond, just reads aloud. In every timeline where the machine works, something is always lost. A person, a principle, a piece of truth. She looks at you. I think we found the moment we're meant to rewrite. You nod that the ground begins to dissolve, and the hourglasses melt into water. You're standing now in a room filled with clocks. Hundreds of them. Some tick, some tick. Some are quiet, waiting, and in the center. The device, the machine, pristine, still humming, still hungry. Marie turns to you. Are you ready? You think of all the things you've seen. The archivist, the medallion, the train, the residue, the rewritten versions of yourself. The fact that historians still argue whether Marie Curie was more visionary scientist or accidental alchemist. You take the machine in both hands. It pulses once. The machine hums in your hands. It's colder than you expect. Not the icy cold of metal, but the hollow chill of something that remembers being used for purposes it was never designed for. The edges fit your grip a little too well, as if it's been waiting for you. You don't like that? Machines aren't supposed to recognize you before you recognize them. Marie watches closely. Her hair is wild from the sprint through fragmented time, but her expression is calm, almost surgical. This is the earliest version, she says, brushing dust from the panel. Before the government touched it, before the War Departments even knew it existed. This one's still pure. You raise an eyebrow. Pure isn't exactly the word you'd use for something that might fracture time again just because you hit the wrong button. But you nod. It has no instructions, no on switch, just that low throaty hum, like it's breathing. You ask her what to do. She gestures to the control ring 5 symbols, etched into brass. None of them look familiar. One looks like a Mobius strip. Another resembles an eye, but sliced vertically. The third is a spiral. The fourth is a lightning bolt entangled with a gear. The fifth, just a simple handprint. Each symbol is a command, she says. But we only need one. You ask which. She points to the handprint. That one opens the door. Not a literal one, a temporal one. You hesitate. Where does it go? She smiles grimly. Where we lost it. The moment time first cracked. You press your palm against the plate. The machine inhales. The air twists. The clocks on the walls stop ticking. Some collapse inward, others spin faster. One explodes in reverse, its pieces flying back together, only to explode again. Marie grabs your arm, then the floor disappears. You fall, but not in the traditional way. You fall sideways, backward, upward, and somewhere else entirely. The concept of gravity flickers. Your heartbeat sinks to a rhythm that doesn't belong in any universe you've known. And then you land not hard, like a feather pressed gently into wet sand. You stand up slowly, dizzy but intact. You're back in Paris, or something, wearing the mask of Paris. The year is 1903. You know this because it's written on the sky like a watermark. But the city's wrong. The Eiffel Tower floats above the Seine. The moon is too close. The light bends oddly, as if reality is being refracted through a cracked lens. And the people, they move in loops. A baker walks to his shop and resets every 30 seconds. A child chases a balloon that never leaves her hand. Marie exhales beside you. The first vault. You follow her down the street. Everything glows faintly. Even the shadows have a strange luminescence, as if they've memorized the colors of the day. You reach the lab. Not hers. Piers. He's inside. Alive. You stop at the threshold. He's working at a desk, papers scattered, completely unaware that the laws of physics are folding around him. He looks younger than you imagined. His coat is too big, his sleeves stained with ink. He hums something tuneless under his breath. Marie doesn't enter. She stares at him like she's memorizing the shape of her own heartbreak. You ask if this is the moment. She nods. The last day before it happened. You know what she means. Pierre would be struck by a carriage less than a week from now. His skull crushed. His work unfinished. Hers forever marked by absence. But she's not here to save him. Not exactly. She leads you to the back of the room there. Hidden beneath the floorboards is a smaller version of the same machine. Older, imperfect, sparking softly. It flickers, caught in a feedback loop. That's the prototype, Marie says. Pierre activated it the night before he died. It glitched, created the first microfracture in our timeline. That's what triggered the ripple. And that ripple never stopped growing. You watch the machine. Its hum is more erratic, more desperate. Marie pulls out a tool, something between a tuning fork and a scalpel. We have to neutralize the frequency, stabilize it. Otherwise this loop will keep echoing across centuries. You kneel beside her. You ask why she didn't fix it sooner. Her voice is quiet. I couldn't face this version of him. Not until I knew you'd come with me. You don't ask what she means. Instead, you help. The machine resists, sparks jump from its sides. The room tilts slightly. Pierre doesn't seem to notice. His loop continues. Write, sip coffee, frown, repeat. You and Marie work in silence. Her hand shakes once, but she keeps going. You insert the tool into the core of the device. It screams, not like metal, like memory. The machine shudders, then goes still. The city outside shifts. The Eiffel Tower lowers back into place. The moon retreats. The sky unwatermarks itself, and Pierre. He pauses mid-sentence, looks up, right at Marie. Time flickers, for one impossible moment. He sees her. Not the loop version, not the illusion. Her. His face softens. He mouths something you can't hear. Marie doesn't cry, but she blinks very slowly. And when she opens her eyes again, they are impossibly clear. Then the loop resets. Pierre goes back to writing. But something's different now. He looks less tired, more grounded. The machine beneath your hands no longer hums. The ripple has stopped. Marie stands, brushing her knees. We can't save him, she says quietly. But we can save the world he helped shape. Outside, the city has stabilized, but you feel a pressure behind your eyes, like a migraine made of centuries. Marie notices you've been exposed to too many timelines, she says. The stabilizer is not enough anymore. We have to finish this before your brain starts stitching history out of dreams. You nod. She opens a pocket watch. Inside, instead of hands, there are shifting constellations. One more jump, then the last vault. You ask where. Her mouth twitches. Poland? The day before my first experiment with radium. Before I knew what it could do. Before I knew what it would cost. You glance one last time at Pierre. He looks peaceful, like a man who never knew. He was a hinge in history. Marie takes your hand. The world begins to ripple again, but slower now, less chaotic. Just enough to carry you forward, to the next crack in time, and maybe, finally, toward the truth behind it all. Your feet land on cold stone. It's a different cold from before. This one seeps into your bones. Not cruel, just ancient. The air smells of chalk, ink, and the promise of something unspoken. You stand in the middle of a cavernous room. Stone walls loom with faint moisture on their surfaces. Oil lamps line the hall, their flames dancing like nervous secrets. It's a monastery, but one without monks. You shiver. Marie steps beside you, adjusting her coat. This is La Vef, she says, her accent heavier now. Before the war, before Poland vanished and reappeared like a breath caught in history's throat. You look around. Shelves line the walls, cluttered with handwritten journals. Strange, crystal samples, even a few skulls, some human, some questionable. A raven watches from a crossbeam overhead. It doesn't blink. She walks deeper into the library. You follow, boots echoing on the stone. There's a reverence to her movements, like she's walking across the surface of memory itself. This is where I made my first discovery, she whispers. Radium, not the refined element you've read about. The raw, glowing truth of it. Before funding, before safety protocols, before they warned me not to touch what glows in the dark. You reach a small work table, its surface scorched. Notes are scattered across it, equations, diagrams, musings, written in a hybrid of Polish and French. You catch a glimpse of the word immortality in the margin. Marie brushes a page aside, revealing a vial. It glows green. You recognize that glow. It's faint, beautiful, and unmistakably dangerous. Historians still argue whether I truly understood how lethal it was, she says. But I did. I just didn't care. The vial pulses slightly. Your fingertips tingle, just standing near it. You ask her what she plans to do. She taps the table with a fingertip. This was the moment I fractured myself. Every time I touched the element, I left echoes, versions of me stuck in timelines I never meant to create. I thought I was pursuing knowledge, but really, I was scattering myself across the dimensions. You glance behind you. There are shadows now, not your shadows, not hers. Versions of Marie move silently across the room, like memories projected in smoke. One wears goggles. Another is older, bent, clutching her stomach. A third, young, bright-eyed, trembling with excitement, lifts a similar vial with both hands. They don't see you, or maybe they do, and just accept your presence the way one accepts a dream mid-sleep. The universe has limits, she murmurs, even for curiosity. You take a step back. The glow deepens. One of the shadows, older Marie, stumbles, coughs violently. Blood speckles the table. She grabs her chest and collapses. But she doesn't vanish. She resets. The loop begins again. You see now. Each echo is trapped in its own eternal reenactment. Marie points to a gear-shaped device under the table. That was my stabilizer. I built it to extract radioactive isotopes without creating anomalies. But I didn't calibrate for my own biofield. Every time I powered it up, I fractured a little more. You crouch and pull the stabilizer out. It's heavier than expected, warm to the touch, humming low like a breath held too long. She places the vial into a slot in its core. The shadows flicker. All the Marys pause. You feel a weight shift in the room. Time, folding ever so slightly inward. Marie reaches into her coat and retrieves the final time key, a device shaped like a tuning fork welded to a compass. This will collapse the echoes, she says. It'll reunite them, but it'll also erase their memories. They'll fold into me. You raise a question she hasn't answered yet. Why bring you? She stares at you, and for a long time says nothing. Then quietly, because you're the variable that doesn't belong. The anomaly outside the loop. You were never meant to be fractured. You're still whole. That makes you the only person who can carry the burden of the next jump. You try to speak, she stops you. Don't. It won't make sense yet. Just know that I'm asking you to be the anchor. The world's about to lose gravity, and I need someone still tethered. You swallow the knot forming in your throat. Then she activates the fork. A low chime fills the air, like cathedral bells rung. Underwater, the echoes begin to dissolve, not violently, peacefully, as if they've waited decades for this release. The older one sighs. The youngest smiles before vanishing. One of them salutes you. Marie grips the work table as the light intensifies. A swirl of green and gold surrounds her. You reach out, but she's already fading. I'll see you on the other side, she says. You'll know what to do when it's time. You're about to ask what the other side means. But she's gone. Only the device remains. It's pulsing now. Calibrated and ready. You hold it, and the air shimmers. Something is coming. A final jump. And the strange part, you're not afraid anymore. Maybe because deep down, you've already accepted that time isn't a line, it's a story. One that rewrites itself as soon as someone dares to remember it too clearly. You breathe. In the scent of chalk and ozone lingers. You press the key. Reality bends. This time, It doesn't snap. It hums like a lullaby you almost recognize. You float upward, carried by the weight of history, toward a horizon made of memories no one has dared speak aloud. And somewhere in that silence, you hear her voice. Just one word. Soon. When your eyes open again, you're no longer falling. You're standing in a city. But not just any city, it's Paris. Or rather, the bones of it. The Eiffel Tower isn't gleaming steel, but a jagged scaffold of wires and gears. The Seine flows, but it glows faintly, as if lit from below by bioluminescent plankton or residual radiation. The sky is violet, not poetic twilight more like the hue you see behind your eyelids after a camera flash. Wrong. Too bright and too still. Everything hums. Buildings, bridges, even the cobblestones beneath your shoes. Welcome to Paris in the fractured time and impossible intersection of timelines stitched together with leftover science and Marie Curie's last experiment. You blink and something flickers in the periphery. It's the streets. They shimmer for a second, split like double exposures. Two Parises coexisting, phasing in and out, one a post-war 1940s reality, the other a reimagined future where physics misbehaved and nobody fixed it. You hear laughter behind you. Familiar. You turn. Marie is leaning against a lamppost, arms crossed, wearing a jumpsuit that looks part aviator, part astronaut. She has goggles perched on her head and a strange clockwork device strapped to her wrist. When she sees your confusion, she just grins. Finally caught up, did you? She says. Took you long enough. You ask if this is the end. She shakes her head. No, this is just the hub. The hub, she gestures toward the heart of the city. Rising from the center of what was once Place de la Concorde is a tower of light. It spins, impossibly tall, not anchored to the ground. Time-warped architecture spirals up its sides, from Roman ruins, Soviet industrial girders, and Aztec stone fused into a structure that shouldn't stand. And yet, it does. That's where I anchored the chronocore, she says. It keeps the timelines from collapsing completely. Barely. She waves you forward. Come on, we're running out of time. Of course you are. You walk beside her through the shifting streets. At one corner, you see a child playing with a spinning top that casts shadows of different ages, infant, teenager, elder, all layered in one. At another, a cafe loops through the same 2 seconds endlessly. A waiter placing a cup, a customer lifting it, then snap back to the cup being placed. Marie watches it all without flinching. I've stitched this reality together from the fragments we left behind, she explains. Every timeline where I survived, every moment I touched radioactive decay, or time displacement, or even theoretical immortality, pulled it here. You ask why? She's quiet for a moment. Then, softly, because something is coming, something bigger than me, than us, a rupture. You step over a crack in the sidewalk, and for a second you see nothing below it. Just stars, deep space. Then cobblestone again. Marie keeps walking. Historians still argue whether time is truly linear, or just a human misinterpretation of entropy, she says casually, like someone quoting a breakfast cereal box. But they all agree on one thing. Every civilization that reached this point vanished. You ask what she means. She doesn't answer. Not yet. The Tower of Light is closer now. You feel its gravity, not physical, but temporal. Your heartbeat sinks to it. Your memories flutter. You smell your childhood bedroom for a split second. Hear the voice of someone you miss, whispering your name. Feel a moment of shame you'd buried return to your chest. The tower pulls not just on time, but on you. Marie notices. She tosses you a coin. You catch it. It's warm. One-time stabilizer, she says. Put it in your mouth if things go sideways. You're about to ask what sideways looks like when the sky shifts. The violet deepens into crimson. The tower's glow wavers. Then the ripple hits. A wave of distortion sweeps across the city, like a glass sheet cracking. Time fractures midair. A flock of birds freezes mid-flight, then explodes into thousands of fragmented images of itself. Streetcars become horse-drawn carriages, then back to chrome hover trams. Then nothing at all. Marie doesn't flinch. She grabs your arm and sprints forward. "This is it," she says. "The rupture, it found us." You ask what it is. Her eyes flash. Entropy incarnate. A force without will, without mind. Just the unraveling of causality. A side effect of time manipulation. Every time someone changes the past, or loops a moment, this thing grows. You reach the base of the tower. It's humming louder now. The structure vibrates like a tuning fork, and your teeth ache with its frequency. Marie yanks a lever built into the base. A spiral staircase unfolds in midair. She starts climbing. You follow her. And every step feels like you're rising through decades. With each footfall, a decade's worth of dust and memory swirls past. War-eye uniforms, Beatles posters, VHS tapes, flickering memes, school hallways you can't quite name. Time is becoming air, thick and scented. When you reach the top platform, you're breathless. Before you, suspended in a dome of glass and starlight, is the CHRONO core. It looks like a heart made of gears. Every beat sends out golden pulses into the sky below it. The city wavers still stable, but barely. Marie circles it, checking dials. Then she turns to you. "I need you to do something," she says. "This machine is powered by paradox, and I've run out of them." You blink. She places both hands on your shoulders. "You're the last clean variable in this timeline, untouched, whole. You've only observed, but now I need you to act." You ask what she means. She hands you the tuning fork-shaped time key from earlier. "Insert this into the core. It will bind this timeline. Seal it off from the rupture." You start to comply, then pause. "What happens to me?" you ask. She hesitates, then answers. "You'll become the anchor. This timeline will stabilize around you. You'll live a full life here, but you'll remember all of it. Every timeline, every loop. You'll never quite sleep again." You stare at the core. Its pulsing slows. The rupture's pressure is building. Marie's voice softens. "Or, you walk away. Let the city collapse. Let me do it alone. You'll wake up tomorrow like none of this happened. A strange dream, safe. You hold the key. You weigh the choice. Everything depends on one action. A paradox. Your paradox. You breathe in the scent of ozone, steel, and old paper, and you choose. You place the key into the heart of the chronocore. The moment it touches the central spindle, it vanishes, not melted, not shattered, but absorbed, swallowed by time. There is no explosion, no thunder, just stillness. The city below freezes mid. The crimson sky fades back into that impossible violet. The rupture halts inches above a trembling cathedral spire. For one perfect second, you exist between seconds. And then the pulse begins. A wave of warm light washes over Paris. You feel it bloom from your chest outward, spreading, settling, smoothing. The looped cafes return to their rightful timeline. The flickering streetcars stabilize into sleek solar-powered models. Children who were flickering between ages now hold steady as themselves, not echoes, not glitches. Hold. The chronocore thrums in rhythm with your own heartbeat. You're part of it now. Anne-Marie. She's watching you from across the glass dome, eyes bright but distant. She smiles, but it's not relief. It's something heavier. "You did it," she says, voice soft. "You did what I couldn't." You want to say something clever, some joke about radioactive paradoxes or stolen goggles, but the weight of the moment silences you. Instead, you ask, "What now?" Marie steps backward. Her outline begins to blur, like heat rising off pavement. "I wasn't meant to last this far. I was stitched together from too many fractured moments. My time is borrowed. You reach for her, but your hand passes through. Mist, I'm proud of you, she whispers. Now the world can heal. She dissolves into golden light, and then she's gone. You're alone at the top of the tower. But the silence is peaceful below. The city lives, and above, the stars no longer shimmer with instability. They simply shine. You descend slowly. Your footsteps echo like the ticking of a cosmic clock. Now fully wound. No more time-slip pages. No more ruptures. Just the quiet, precious weight of continuity. As you reach the street, the people look up at you. Some with wonder, some with recognition, all with peace. You walk into a world saved by your presence. A paradox wrapped in warmth. And for the first time, time feels still. It feels ... right. The city fades behind you. You're not walking anymore. You're drifting, floating through a world that remembers all its fractures but doesn't fear them. Streets hum gently with power. Trees sway in perfect rhythm. The air tastes like memory and morning dew. You find a quiet bench near a glowing river. It doesn't matter what year it is anymore, because time is no longer a rushing current, pulling you forward or back. It's a gentle pool, still comforting you. Close your eyes, and in the darkness behind your lids, you see the faces of people. Across times, scientists, dreamers, rebels, poets, Marie Curie among them, watching with that same knowing smile. You've become part of their story now, not just a visitor, but a thread woven into history's fabric, a stabilizer. The one who made the hard choice when it counted. And there's something deeply calming in that. No rush, no urgency, just the warm glow of knowing you made it, that you helped the universe find balance again. So now, breathe in deeply, let the weight fall from your shoulders, let your limbs grow heavier. The world doesn't need you to move anymore, it just needs you to rest. Feel yourself settling, sinking into a gentle, endless exhale. Nothing will break again tonight. Everything is whole, everything is still, and you're safe now. Time is no longer your burden, it's your cradle. Let it hold you softly. Let it carry you slowly. Let sleep take you sweetly. Good night, traveler.